My number 1 overall player, Jalen Carter, still on the board. Will Levis, my number 2 quarterback, still there out of Kentucky. Bijan Robinson. We want to see when's the first running back. He's number 6 overall on my big board. Running back philosophy for me, not in the first round. Teams, though, I think are in a good position. We'll have to see if Philadelphia does the unexpected at 10. Does Atlanta do anything coming up? Peter Skoronski, who would look great in a Jets uniform, because he can be that tackle, guard, center, that versatility that you need on that offensive line with Aaron Rodgers coming in. I will say this for the Raiders. That secondary needs Christian Gonzalez. And I'll tell you what, you get a guy with length. They got it. I think Jalen Carter, you think about the need there. I don't think so. I think Christian Gonzalez makes sense. Will they take the quarterback? You got Jimmy G. You go with the best corner at this point with Devin Witherspoon already off the board. He was my number 1 corner. Take a guy who was kind of 1A at the quarterback spot, which is Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, look, they're 31st in QBR allowed, 29th in passing yards allowed. They had 6 interceptions last season total. Look, we were out there for Week 18, for their matchup against Kansas City for Monday night. Look, Josh McDaniels said we need people who can turn the football over. We just don't have playmakers on the defensive side of the football. We got to get Max Crosby some help. He can't just rush the passer. We need some people who can lock it down in the back end so he has more time to get there. Secondary makes all the sense in the world. Very good corners still left on the board.
You're trying to improve the pass defense. Do you do it from the back end? We always talk. Yeah, the defense front to back, inside out. So Jalen Carter, Mel's number 1 player, is still on the board. They need somebody. They tried Chandler Jones. He hasn't worked. Max Crosby coming off the edge. They need a 3 technique. Is this a point where they go and say, you know what? The talent is too far to pass when it comes to Jalen Carter.
Again, it's about, how does Josh feel about his program at this point? Can he absorb that? Does he have the resources to go ahead and say, hey, look, we have the people on the defensive line, which he may. Yeah. He may have some people on the defensive line that can say, hey, let me tell you something, Jalen. This is how to do it right. This is how to become a pro. Look, Max Crosby is one of the best teachers of that, of anybody. So they could definitely consider it. But I just wonder how they feel about that compared to the fact that in the secondary and in the division where they need some people who can pick off the quarterback. They're trying to take down Mahomes.
And Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, we had talked about maybe at 2, that foot injury.
Absolutely.
In November, that foot injury may be a reason why he's dropped. Because they can certainly use him. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an eye on Jalen Carter with the character concern. And my guy, Will Levis, we talk about sliding away, right? Paul Simon, 1977. I don't think we worry about Will Levis because sliding away hadn't hurt quarterbacks. They turned out to be pretty good. They do drop this.
But I do, you know what, Tyree Wilson, he is the wild card here. Because I'll tell you what, as far as pressure percentage this past year, he was number 2 in the country. He has some unique things. This is one of those times where I'll tell you what, Josh McDaniels has to get with his medical staff and say, hey, look, just tell me what we're dealing with here. When will he be ready? What could be the possibility of him re-injuring this and us not having it? Because we need him on the field. You're right. If you want to build it front to back, I believe in too. Absolutely. This is a guy who you have to trust your medical staff, though. They have to tell you you're good to go, turn in the card. If not, go at corner.
The Raiders need help in the defensive secondary, but it hasn't been for lack of trying. They've taken 5 defensive backs in the first round in the previous 10 years, which is tied for the most in the NFL in that stretch. Mel, it just hasn't worked out in many cases.
No, it hasn't. And it's a tough debate because we talk about Jalen Carter's talent, but the character concern. And this is an organization I think needs somebody that's completely clean through the process. Christian Gonzalez had 4 interceptions. He had 0 at Colorado, so he showed the ball skills this year. He can't bounce back from that subpar performance against Georgia. That was a heck of a year for the Oregon Ducks.
I mean, just think about it. You have Max Crosby and you have Chandler Jones, and you still finished 27th in sacks. So you know that right now.
They didn't get a lot out of Chandler, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. Right. That's why pass rusher has to be in consideration here. This will be
Here's what I will say. No matter who it is, he will get booed in this city. There's very little question the fans in Kansas City will boo the newest Las Vegas Raider. Let's find out who it's going to be.
With the 7th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Tyree Wilson, defensive end, Texas Tech.
All right, so there he is, a transfer from Texas A&M. He had a huge final season, 7 sacks, 15 and a half tackles for loss, 43 pressures before breaking the foot in November. He was the Red Raiders' first-team All-American since 2018. Mel, 6'6", 270, and every scouting report begins with the long arms.
Yes, the long arms. You talk about 6'6", 271, and the long arms and the length. He has began his career at Texas A&M. Left Texas A&M after redshirting there, getting on the field in 2019. He had 1.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Goes to Texas Tech, and he had some really impressive performances. Now, the Big 12 isn't loaded with really good offensive tackles. So he's beaten up on some, I call them the AOGs, right? Another occupation guys. In the NFL, that's not going to be the case. So for Tyree Wilson, that injury November 12th, non-contact, he's left defensive end on that play, and a pass rush fell to the ground in pain, broken bone in that foot. There's some things to work on. They dropped him in the coverage. They moved him around. I like the talent. I'd like to see a more dominant performance week in and week out. But I get it. Hey, if you're okay with the foot, he dropped it down here. I think he was my 16th best player on the board. So I wasn't as high on him as some were. But I tell you what, the talent's undeniable. Coaching for him is going to be very important.
And to me, he's the best 4-3 defensive end in the draft. You can line him up in a 5 technique, which is outside the tackle. You can put him head up on the tight end, which is a 6 technique. He can come inside if you want him inside the tackle as a 4-eye. The versatility, the length. And when you look at the Raiders, Max Crosby had 46% of their sacks. That was the second highest rate in the NFL. They had to get a compliment. Chandler Jones wasn't living up to par. So to our point, how we improve the pass defense, we're not going to do it on the back end. We're going to do it up front and affect the quarterback.
Well, I'll tell you what, I look forward to seeing him out the pass rush summit out in Vegas this summer. I can tell you, he will be there. Max will have him there. And I think the thing that I like the most about him is that this is a guy who, because of how long he is, I watched this guy get reached, cut off, and still be able to just take those long arms out there and just clip the running back's legs as he's going by, and I'm going, see, that's the difference with him. He's physically so gifted that he doesn't have to be perfect. When it does become perfect, when he does develop more upper body strength now to where he can actually use those long arms with a lot more explosiveness, if he's healthy, hey, he could be absolutely hell on wheels, man. He really could.
Yeah.
Mel, it was also nice of you to allow him to borrow your suit for the evening.
I don't know if Mel can pull that off. I don't think Mel can pull that off.
Should have right off his feet like he was a small child. All right, there are big names still on the board. Will the